To achieve a high score in IELTS speaking, you must prove to the examiner that your English is advanced. One of the best ways to do this is with phrases. Phrases are fixed expressions that instantly make your answers sound natural and fluent. In this video, you'll learn 12 advanced phrases to boost your IELTS speaking score. By the end, you'll know exactly how to apply them in your speaking test. If you want to achieve the IELTS score you need, check out our IELTS courses. We'll guide you step by step on how to score high, so you'll feel confident on test day. Just click on the link in the description. And now, let's get started. Let's begin with "as far as I'm concerned." You can use this phrase to introduce your personal opinion. You can position it at the start of your statement when presenting your viewpoint. For example, "As far as I'm concerned, technological advancement benefits society more than traditional methods." You can also incorporate it mid-sentence. "The benefits of urbanization, as far as I'm concerned, outweigh the disadvantages." To shed light on means to clarify or to explain something previously unclear or complex. For instance, recent research has shed light on the connection between diet and mental health. This expression shows the IELTS speaking examiner you can discuss how information becomes clearer through explanation or investigation. Here's a brilliant phrase that demonstrates advanced vocabulary: "get to grips with." It means to understand and deal with something challenging. For example, students nowadays must get to grips with digital technology from an early age. This phrase implies effort and gradual mastery, not instant comprehension. When you use it, you're showing the IELTS speaking examiner that you understand nuanced meanings and can express complex ideas naturally. Now, let's explore phrase number 4, "on the same wavelength." In IELTS speaking, you'll regularly discuss interpersonal relationships, teamwork, or social connections. "On the same wavelength" offers a sophisticated way to describe mutual understanding between individuals. For example, "my closest friends and I are always on the same wavelength when it comes to life goals." Notice how the topic of agreement follows the phrase. Here, I specified "when it comes to life goals." The meaning changes completely if I say, "my colleagues and I aren't on the same wavelength regarding this project." Accurate placement of such expressions demonstrates grammatical proficiency to the examiner, which can improve your band score. During your IELTS speaking test, the examiner might ask you about general trends, common behaviors, or typical situations. Start your response with "for the most part" to indicate you're describing usual circumstances while acknowledging exceptions. For instance, "for the most part, young people in my country prefer pursuing higher education before entering the workforce." Naturally, exceptions exist, and I've recognized that by using "for the most part" instead of absolute language. It's an excellent phrase for preventing oversimplified or overgeneralized responses. By the way, if you want this channel to keep going, write yes in the comments, click like, and subscribe. We only make videos if we see that you enjoy watching them. Here's an outstanding phrase for contextualizing information. You can use "put it into perspective" to help explain the relative importance or scale of something. Consider this example. Climate change affects millions globally. To put it into perspective, sea levels have risen more in the past century than in the previous 2,000 years. This phrase functions wonderfully when you need to make abstract concepts concrete or help the examiner understand why something matters. Here's another example. Learning a language takes dedication. To put it into perspective, achieving fluency typically requires at least 5 years of consistent practice. Phrase number 7 is "at the end of the day." This phrase helps you conclude arguments or emphasize what ultimately matters most. At the end of the day means ultimately or when everything is considered. For example, career prospects matter, but at the end of the day, job satisfaction is what determines long-term happiness. You can also use it to refocus discussions. We can debate various educational methods, but at the end of the day, students need supportive teachers to succeed. This expression proves particularly effective during Part 3 discussions, when you need to summarize complex arguments or highlight fundamental truths. The next phrase is "to some extent." It allows you to acknowledge partial agreement or limited truth. For example, social media has, to some extent, improved global communication, though it has also created new challenges. This phrase demonstrates critical thinking because it shows you recognize complexity and avoid oversimplification. When introducing information that's obvious but worth mentioning, try "it goes without saying." This signals that what follows should be self-evident to reasonable people. For instance, it goes without saying that education plays a fundamental role in societal development. However, use this phrase carefully. Ensure what follows truly is widely accepted. Otherwise, it might seem presumptuous. When used appropriately, it demonstrates confidence and rhetorical awareness. If you want to emphasize a point you consider crucial, you can use "make no mistake." It means "be absolutely certain" or "there should be no confusion about this." For example, "make no mistake, climate action requires immediate international cooperation." This expression adds conviction to your statements and shows you can articulate strong positions clearly. It's particularly effective in Part 3 when discussing significant global or social issues. Here's another sophisticated phrase: "bear in mind." It means remember or consider something important when forming judgments. This expression works beautifully when introducing considerations that influence your viewpoint. For example, when evaluating traditional versus modern medicine, we should bear in mind that both approaches have valuable contributions. You can also employ it when presenting balanced arguments. Remote learning offers flexibility, but bear in mind that it requires strong self-discipline. Strike a balance means find an appropriate middle ground between competing priorities or viewpoints. You might say, governments must strike a balance between economic growth and environmental protection. This phrase demonstrates sophistication because it acknowledges complexity rather than suggesting simple solutions. For instance, successful professionals strike a balance between ambition and work-life harmony. When discussing outcomes that emerge over extended periods, use "in the long run." It means eventually or over time. For example, investing in renewable energy may seem expensive initially, but in the long run, it proves cost-effective. This phrase shows you can think beyond immediate circumstances and consider longer-term implications, which is a characteristic of high-scoring answers. "Come to terms with" means accept and deal with something difficult or challenging. For instance, modern society must come to terms with the rapid pace of technological change. Finally, here's a phrase that works brilliantly when concluding discussions: food for thought. It means something worth thinking about carefully. You might say, the relationship between happiness and material wealth certainly provides food for thought. Alternatively, use it when introducing thought-provoking ideas. The statistic that 40% of university graduates work in unrelated fields is interesting food for thought. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their IELTS score too. See you in the next video!